Architecting Your Industry 4.0 career, guys. We are so glad you are all here. I'm here with Walker Reynolds. As you guys may or may not know, Walker and I have been creating content for the last 3 years now, and our channel, 4.0 Solutions, is coming up on 10,000 subscribers. And we've had over 4,124 people register for this event on LinkedIn. So if that's you, well, obviously it's you. You're here right now. Thank you. We have a great presentation for you today. So I'm going to kick it over to Walker Reynolds, and he's going to get started on today's presentation.
Great. Hey, Zach, do me a favor. Will you share your screen and show the Zoom meeting that's going on? So Welcome everyone to this event, the summer launch event for 4.0 Solutions and our mentorship program. So Zach is sharing every month in the mentorship program. We have a live meeting with the team, a Zoom meeting. And right now we have, hey Zach, how many people are in the actual call right now?
Yeah, we've got about 30 people in the call right now. And because most everyone's on the YouTube live right now.
Excellent. So every month we do a mentorship meeting. And so I wanted to give a shout out to the members of the community that are already on the mentorship Zoom meeting. So what we're doing right now is for the next hour, I'm going to do a Architecting Your Industry 4.0 career presentation. Some of this stuff the mentees have already heard. There's going to be some new stuff I touch on, some stuff that you guys haven't seen before. And then after this session, we will have our monthly mentorship call. And this presentation is the presentation I'm doing for the monthly mentorship call. And then I'll just be answering questions and et cetera, et cetera. So the purpose of this session is I get a ton of questions. I have a team actually that responds to my LinkedIn messages. The only messages that I respond to myself are like Discord DMs. So but I have a team that responds to all my messages or they forward the message to me if it's a message I need to respond to, right? Because we just get we get so many messages. I mean, I get 1,000 emails a day. I don't know how many messages we get on LinkedIn every day, but I know it's a lot. And the number one question that we get of all the questions that come inbound to me are, I'm a college student graduating. I'm a co-op. I'm a manufacturing engineer, just completed my first co-op. I'm a process engineer who's been working for such and such company for the last 7 years, or I'm an engineer. I'm an integrator who's been working with an SI, just doing water, wastewater the last 8-9 years. And I want to do more Industry 4.0 stuff. And the question will be, how do I do that? What steps do I need to go through? What do I need to train on? Where do I need to work? What type of capabilities do I need to work on? So this next hour is basically my answer to that question, but in a formal manner. So let me share my screen here real quick.
Go ahead and share it and I'll add it.
Yeah, let me, I don't know which one. I think it's screen 1. No, it's screen 2. You guys know we got Factory Studio back there behind me.
Shout out to Tatsoff.
Shout out to my man, Dave Hellier.
There we go.
All right, so real quick, let's start with who we are. So I'm Walker Reynolds. I am the president and I'm a solutions architect with 4.0 Solutions. 4.0 Solutions, we run IIoT.university. That's basically where all of our training programs are. We run the 4.0 Solutions YouTube channel, which is how most people probably came to us. We are the administrators for the Industry 4.0 Discord server, which is here. If you guys are not members of the Discord server, I highly, highly recommend that you join the Discord server. I think we've got something like 1,800 members, give or take. About 50% of those members post at least once per week. There's a lot of really awesome conversations, all centered around Industry 4.0 on the Discord server. So that's who we are. What 4.0 Solutions does, our whole goal is education and outreach for Industry 4.0. Okay, that is our our primary goal. Our goal is to help overcome a lot of the misinformation that exists in the market. And so I used to be an integrator, and there's a video where I talk about my career. I'm still the chairman of the board of Intellic Integration, but I don't really work at Intellic anymore. I only work at 4.0 Solutions with Zach and Vaughn and our team. Our goal is to help educate the industry. So we educate vendors. So we work with many, many companies to help them develop their products that engineers and architects will be using to help digitally transform organizations, right? So that's one of the things that we do. Another thing that we do is we work with the end users. We do digital transformation maturity assessments, which is basically taking an Industry 3.0 manufacturer, we score them, and then we give them an architecture and we give them a roadmap for how they can digitally transform their organization. And then, but the big thing that we do at 4.0 Solutions is we run 2 programs. Program number 1 is mentorship, which you guys are at right now. We're going to talk about what's the whole point of it, and et cetera. And then the other program is mastermind. So mentorship is a program that is designed to train engineers, to train automation professionals to support Industry 4.0 projects. It's the actual skills, okay? So we do that through step training. So there's step 1 training. We're in the step 2 training right now, which we're going to get into, like what those curriculums are. We touch on all the things that I'm going to tell you guys you should be studying. Whether you study that stuff from us or whether you study it on your own and you just Google everything, I'm going to tell you what it is you should be studying. All right. So mentorship, well, that mentorship program is all about us training the engineers to support these projects. So prior to we only do signups twice a year. So the last time we did signups was in January. This is our summer launch event. 6 months later, we are signing up another group of mentees. We did like an early launch a couple of weeks ago, and up to a couple of weeks ago, we had 157 people in the mentorship program going through this career development stuff that we're going to go talk about today. And as of today, we have 215. Okay. And the Mastermind program is all about training people to lead Industry 4.0 initiatives. And that's a much smaller program. You have to be at a certain point in your Industry 4.0 career for you to even think about doing Mastermind, right? So we have 57 people in that program. And in that program, we're teaching those people how to put together teams, how to architect Industry 4.0 transformations, how to do digital transformation maturity assessments. It's a much more in-depth program. With mentorship, we have curriculum that people go through behind the scenes, and then we meet once per month, and then we talk on a daily basis in our Discord channel, but then we meet once a month. With Mastermind, same thing. We meet once a month. There's no curriculum in the background, but we meet once a month for a much longer period of time, and we actually do a long training each month. And then we support one another as we are taking what we've learned, what people have learned in Mastermind, and are applying out in the real world. Okay. And then in addition to that, we leverage Discord heavily for our communications for the Industry 4.0 community. Okay. So what today is all about is the foundation. So when people come and they ask us, what do I need to do to become an Industry 4.0 professional? This is the answer I give them, except now what I want to do is just give it to everybody. And we're going to go into, I'm going to give you a little basic presentation that I do all the time, basically in every single session, whether we're presenting for a client or whether we're presenting to people we're training. And then I'm going to give you the specific, here are the steps you need to go through to become an Industry 4.0 professional so that you can architect your career. So the people who should be here, okay, you should have existing Industry 3.0 professionals. So that's like controls engineers, process engineers, manufacturing engineers, integrators, application engineers, IT professionals, quality professionals. College students should be here. Recent graduates, current students, people who are studying manufacturing engineering, people who are studying electromechanical technology, tradespeople, industrial electricians, industrial mechanics, millwrights, business development professionals. The Industry 4.0 business development professional needs to be fluent in the technology. No longer, there was a sales guy that Zach and I actually worked on this project together many years ago. I was a senior engineer on the project. Zach was one of the developers, and there was the business development guy who sold this project. He knew nothing about technology at all, but he was an outstanding salesperson. And I remember the day before the project kicked off, he told all the engineers, we all went out to dinner. It was a major project, high visibility project. And he said, we sold this with smoke and mirrors. Remember Zach, remember this? So he says, we sold this project with smoke and mirrors. He goes, and now it's your guys' job to deliver. That works in Industry 3.0. It doesn't work in Industry 4.0. Okay. The business development professionals need to know what they're talking about. And I think the business development professionals for Industry 4.0, the best business development professionals are those technologists who have transitioned into business development, and they are more application sales than they are just trying to sell off a line card. Other people who should be here, manufacturers who are looking to branch out. So people who work for the end user right now, and technologists. That is people who dabble in all sorts of technology. They should be here. Maybe Industry 4.0 is for you. So we're going to do a 1-hour presentation, and I'm going to teach you the steps to architecting your career. That is, you need to put together a plan, okay, for architecting your career, okay? We're going to cover these items. The Industry 4.0 career roadmap review. I'm going to show you here in a second these steps. We're going to talk about what's Industry 3.0, what's Industry 4.0, what does it mean for manufacturing, what skills do I need, what education do I need, how do I know I'm right for Industry 4.0, what are the roles, how do I choose, how long does it take to become an Industry 4.0 professional, and architecting your career path. That's going to start with what are your values, what's your mission, and then you're going to establish a strategy, and then we're going to talk about where to start. Okay. All right. So before I get started on anything, let's talk about some key definitions here. Okay. Zach, did that all translate fine? Can you see my screen still, Zach?
No, it did not. Could you reshare that?
StreamYard is shit. Let's stop using StreamYard. Okay, so this will be the last time we use StreamYard because it's wasting people's time. I do apologize, everyone. All right, Industry 3.0. Can you see the slide, Zach?
Yep, there you go.
All right, so a couple of very important definitions. All right, we want to establish some premises. So number one, what is Industry 3.0? In a nutshell, it is the automation of manufacturing processes. So the first industrial revolution was when we created the steam engine, okay, about the time we created the steam engine. The second industrial revolution was the assembly line. The third industrial revolution was when we developed automation, right? So that was when we started with relay logic to automate the steps that human beings would go through. And then we moved into programmable logic controllers, PLCs, computers, basically running equipment. The third industrial revolution created digital data. But unfortunately, it was really hard to unlock that data from the PLCs, okay, and from our processes. And in the late 1990s, Rockwell Automation took the Common Industrial Protocol, which is SIP, which is basically how Rockwell infrastructure talks to one another, took Common Industrial Protocol, combined it with Ethernet to give us Ethernet IP. And that really became available in 1999 and 2000. At the same time, the internet explosion, the internet revolution, caused everyone to start plugging their plants into networks. So what we had was at the same time, we created a protocol so that we could take all the data that's being generated inside of our equipment, and we installed networks in all of our facilities, and we made it possible to take all that data and bring it into one place so that we could turn it into information. And that's when the fourth industrial revolution started. Okay. So what is the fourth industrial revolution? The fourth industry 4.0 is the digital integration and automation of business processes. So we're creating information from data, okay? Very, very important. Digital transformation is going from manual or paper processes to integrated digital processes. What's really important to note is that right now you have two types of manufacturers, okay? You have two types of businesses in industry. You have Industry 3.0 companies and you have Industry 4.0 companies. An example of an Industry 4.0 company would be anybody who really started, broke ground in their first facility after the year 2000, right? So if you look at Amazon, if you look at Tesla, if you look at a whole host of other companies that most of them don't allow you to mention their names, if you look at Amazon and Tesla, they are Industry 4.0 organizations, okay? Industry 3.0 companies are all the legacy manufacturers, right? Digital transformation is the process of going from an Industry 3.0 company to an Industry 4.0 company. There are some companies who were never Industry 3.0 though, right? Tesla, when they built their facilities, were Industry 4.0 out the gate, okay? And I'm going to talk about what Industry 4.0 is, and then we'll get into how do you architect your career. So digital transformation, though, is important to note. It's going from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0. And IIoT, it's just the ecosystem you create when you digitally transform. You just basically create a business filled with connected things. The industrial Internet of Things is that ecosystem, okay? There's some important general concepts when it comes to digital transformation. Number one, know what your digital strategy is always. So one of the things that fundamentally changes for the Industry 4.0 professional is the Industry 3.0 professional. If you're an integrator or you're a manufacturing engineer, you only think about what you do within the paradigm you work, okay? You don't think about how what I'm doing plays into a much bigger strategy. How is this piece of test equipment I'm going to purchase plug into our digital ecosystem? You don't ask those questions. In the Industry 4.0 company, you do. So if you work for an Industry 4.0 manufacturer, there are minimum technical requirements. There are standards for every single piece of equipment that you purchase, every smart thing you purchase, every piece of software, every sensor, every piece of hardware, okay? And when you plug those things into your network, you know where the data those things are generating is going to go. That's one of the ways that your job changes when you move from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0, okay? So number one, you have to know what your digital strategy is. Number two, you have to approach every project as one part of a bigger whole. So when I'm an Industry 4.0 professional, I'm approaching every project as one part of a much bigger whole. Number three, I make no assumptions about how data will be consumed. All data matters. The Industry 3.0 professional, the person who's building an HMI for a machine, or they're building a SCADA system for a process, they'll only retrieve the data from the equipment that they think is important, or that they have that is included on the IO matrix for what they'll be visualizing. The Industry 4.0 professional retrieves everything, okay? Because there are other consumers within the business who are going to think that data is important, okay? Number four, treat all producers and consumers of data as a node in an ecosystem. I'm going to show you what that means here in a second. Number five, you're going to build a technology stack. You're not going to build a software solution stack. What does that mean? For all the people from Rockwell Automation who are on this call, and there are a lot of them, Rockwell, Siemens, Emerson, Accenture, Deloitte, Cognizant, there's half of the 4,000 people who signed up for this webinar are from the 5 largest automation companies in the world. And what that tells us is that there are a lot of people who work for the largest automation companies in the world who are completely dissatisfied with the approach their companies are taking as it relates to Industry 4.0. So for you the people who work for the largest automation companies in the world, building a technology stack means that I'm not architecting solutions. I'm not limiting the solution I'm creating for my customer to just the suite of products that one manufacturer creates. So I'm not just using the Rockwell ecosystem. I'm not just using the Siemens ecosystem. I'm not just using the Emerson ecosystem. What I'm doing is I'm designing a technology stack, and then I'm picking the things I'm going to plug into that technology stack based on whether or not they meet my minimum technical requirements. We don't use Rockwell software for basically any infrastructure, any of our solutions. Why? Because Rockwell doesn't meet our minimum technical requirements. We use their PLCs, and then we use gateways to unlock the data from those PLCs, and that's where it ends. So, and more, our clients, especially the largest companies in the world, have all come to the realization that solution-centered, going to Rockwell, going to McKinsey, going to Emerson, going to Siemens, is not the way to successfully digitally transform. In fact,
quick question.
It's the opposite of the way. Go ahead, Zach.
You said, you would put an Allen Bradley PLC in, which, Allen Bradley, which Rockwell bought, is one of the products that we like, that they make great PLCs. You would still put an Allen Bradley PLC in, even though it doesn't support the minimum technical requirements, if you put an edge gateway in
Sure.
today's?
Of course. Now, is that the perfect scenario? Of course not. I'm probably going to choose, probably going to choose Groove Epic, or
PLC Next.
Well, I'm gonna choose the Groove Epic from Opto 22 instead of the Control Logics. I'm gonna choose the PLC Next or
instead of a compact.
Or instead of a compact Logics, right? I'm gonna choose a PLC Next. I'm gonna choose an Easy Rack PLC. I'm gonna choose a Siemens S7 1200 instead of a compact Logics. Right? Siemens is further ahead of the game than Rockwell is. In fact, they're way further ahead of the game as it relates to adopting IIoT protocols and IIoT technology. Okay. Quick thing. I want to make a couple of shout outs. If you guys haven't seen the Redpill video that Zach published on YouTube yesterday, I didn't know about it until they published it. All the parody videos they've been keeping from me until they launch them. And if you haven't seen the Redpill parody that's on the YouTube channel, please watch it. It's brilliant. I loved it when I watched it last night. And number two, one of the members of our community, a guy named Matt Paris, who works for GE Appliances, brilliant engineer. He just released an open letter to the OPC Foundation today. I had the honor of reviewing that letter before he sent it. And I go on LinkedIn, look up Matt Paris, and look, or Google open letter to the OPC Foundation. He linked Stefan Hopp on it, and he lays out in great detail what we've been saying for the last, I've been saying for the last 7 years, but we've been publishing in content for the last 3, as it relates to the shortcomings of OPC UA and Industry 4.0. But if you want to see a piece of content that comes out of the community, where the community is contributing to the same message, to the same results, I highly recommend you take a look at that. Okay?
Also, we always talk about Dave Schultz, but Ectobox is another member of the mastermind community doing a lot of content around unified namespace. They just did a webinar yesterday with Highbyte and Kepware or PTC, I think. But yeah, another shout out.
Excellent. All right, let me share my screen again. Sorry. All right, let's get into.
All right, looks good there.
Yeah. All right. So a couple important concepts for digital transformation. Number one, digital transformation is a strategy. It is not a project. Okay. If you approach digital transformation in Industry 4.0 the way that you approach your projects with Industry 3.0, that is, functional specification, sequence of operations, FAT, SAT, waterfall milestones, you're going to fucking fail. Stop wasting your time doing that. If you want to know why it is, there are plenty of examples out there of failed digital transformation initiatives. It's because you're trying to solve a new problem with an old strategy. Stop doing that. Okay. Digital transformation's a strategy. It's not a project. Digital transformation, Industry 4.0, it happens from the ground up. It happens from the edge up. The leadership's role in digital transformation for manufacturers specifically is to set the digital strategy, define what the digital strategy is. Okay. But you use digital transformation, you use Industry 4.0 to unlock potential on the plant floor, to enable people to solve problems iteratively. That's what Industry 4.0 is. That's what digital transformation is. Number two, digital transformation is about transforming the way manufacturers operate their businesses by leveraging data they generate every day, but never or rarely consume in real time. Okay. Number three, not everyone can be helped. Okay. And the simple reality is that over the next 12 years, okay, next 11 years, 11 out of 12 manufacturers in the United States specifically will either go out of business due to competition from Industry 4.0 manufacturers, or they will be acquired by an Industry 4.0 manufacturer. Okay, we're in a very unique time. We're in a time that is very similar to what it was in the United States between 1980 and 1992, which had to do with the great manufacturing exodus. Right, we're in a very similar time now that as it relates to Industry 3.0 to the 4.0 transition. Okay, so not everyone can be helped. All right, so now that we lay that out, what is it that everyone's trying to achieve? So if you're going to become an Industry 4.0 professional, what are you going to be doing? What you'll be doing is helping manufacturers achieve the Industry Holy Grail, okay? And that is fully integrated business made up of digital factories. What is a digital factory? Think of it, a digital factory has a smartphone for a smart factory, a single pane of glass, a single source of truth, a single entry point to get any piece of data you want, where you want, when you want, and the form you want. Not in the form that IT gave you, not in the form that some data enablement person in the big data group gave you, but what you need, when you need it, where you need it, and in the form you need it, okay? Here's a really good example of the difference between an Industry 3.0 company and an Industry 4.0 company. An Industry 3.0 company, if I need a virtual machine spun up, or I need a network, I need some firewall rules adjusted, or I need to take this machine and connect it to that thing over there. The way that I currently do that is I open a ticket with my help desk. That gets to like level 1 service. It gets routed to level 2. It goes to a team who evaluates whether or not they believe you should have access to that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then they have to get capital to spin up to give you your virtual machine, and then after all the approvals are done, they'll go ahead and spin up your virtual machine for you, right? That could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now. The Industry 4.0 company gives a platform to their people so that they can go spin up their own virtual machines. Right? So imagine if you're a developer right now, you could go to Amazon Web Services, you could go to EC2, and you could spin up your own virtual machine, your own server. You can select your own security group, the group that you want that machine to be able to talk to, and you can spin it up within minutes. The Industry 4.0 company does the latter, and the Industry 3.0 company does the former. And if you are a manufacturer where your people who are solving problems for you they have to wait 3 to 6 months to get a resource spun up that's going to help them save money and solve problems. If you're competing against the company that enables people to do that in 90 seconds, how can you possibly compete? And the answer is you can't, okay? So if you're an Industry 4.0 professional, what you're going to be doing is helping create fully integrated business made up of digital factories. That means everything and everyone's plugged into the network. The layers of the business are integrated and operate based on data and information from all of the other layers in real time. Stakeholders know the state of the business in real time, the actual state of the business. Are we profitable? Are we not profitable? What are our top downtime reasons? What are the reasons that we might miss our schedule or have late on-time delivery? Stakeholders know the future state of the business in real time. How do we do that? We take data, we take historical data, we compare it to our current state. We look for common patterns, and we use those patterns to predict where we are likely going to be based on current state and past performance, okay? We do that using machine learning and artificial intelligence. Machine learning predicts future outcomes based on past patterns and current state, and artificial intelligence recommends the operational adjustment to improve the future outcome. Don't run this product code on that machine next in the schedule. Run this product. Move this machine from that machine. Don't use the raw material from this vendor, use the raw material from that vendor, okay? And the stakeholder, the human being, makes the choice whether or not to execute or not execute those recommended operational adjustments. The Industry 4.0 professional is doing that. You are supporting creating that, okay? So how do you do that? So now I want to become an Industry 4.0 professional. Well, let's look at the difference in the skill sets between what an automation professional has and an Industry 4.0 professional has. And then we'll talk about how do you expand your skill sets, okay?
Refresh the share. Thank you.
StreamYard is shit. Okay, it's
every
absolute
time.
shit.
Keep saying that though, because every time you say that, the viewership goes up.
It's absolute shit. Okay, it's absolute shit.
All right.
So if I've got to refresh my share multiple times, there's something wrong with StreamYard. All right. An Industry 3.0 professional. Okay, the automation of industrial processes. That's here on the left. Here's basically what the Industry 3.0 professional does. They spec and install sensors and devices. They calibrate and maintain sensors and devices. They spec and install controls platforms. They write PLC programs. They edit them. They maintain controls packages. They do documentation. And they primarily work within theory of operation and sequence of operations for industrial processes, right? What does the Industry 4.0 professional do? The Industry 4.0 professional, if Industry 4.0 is the automation of business processes, and it's the unification of OT and IT data and information, you're going to do all the same things that you do in Industry 3.0, right? I may still write programs. I may still do controls packages. I may still be a process engineer who specializes in continuous improvement on some batch process. But there are other skills I'm going to need in order to contribute to Industry 4.0, okay? And those are all here in red. So object management, specifically data structure, connectivity, protocols, specifically edge-driven report by exception protocols, things like MQTT, AMQP, DNP3, enterprise network integration, okay? I need to know what network address translation is, right? I need to know the difference between multicast and unicast traffic on a network. Version control as it relates to software development. You, instead of operating on the theory of operation and sequence of operations for industrial processes, you're focused more on the theory of operation and the sequence of operation for business and industrial processes. So that is, how does data flow to the applications, to the smart things that we have in our business? I think a lot of people think that IT professionals are only focused on that. And that is one of the most common misconceptions in Industry 4.0, okay? It's one of the reasons that Industry 4.0, that digital transformation initiatives fail so often, is because you're asking people who are simply not qualified to try and lead your initiative. And that's generally people from the IT group who know nothing about how manufacturing actually works. So you focus on the theory of the overall digital strategy for the business, which means using technology-driven approaches to solving problems. IIoT, the Industrial Internet of Things, digital transformation, what is that? What is an IIoT protocol? How can I tell the difference between a server-client protocol relationship and an edge-driven pub-sub infrastructure? What is a unified namespace, which we're going to talk about here in a second? You need to learn how to code. You need to know Python. You need to be fluent in many different scripting languages and coding languages. Python is the best place to start. And in our training, that's where we start everywhere. So both Python, C++, Sharp, Java, SQL. You need to know what cloud platforms are, AWS, Azure specifically, so Azure IoT and AWS IoT. And you need to know what an application programming interface is, specifically REST and SOAP. But there are many others, B2MLL, and the different format, XML and the way that data gets formatted. But the biggest thing that changes for the Industry 3.0 professional and the Industry 4.0 professional is that in Industry 3.0, you specialize. So, we all know amazing SCADA developers. We all know people who do nothing but build MES systems, or we know people who do nothing but do motion control in Control Logic's PLCs or in Siemens motion controllers, right? The days of specialization are over, okay? That doesn't mean that you're not going to specialize, but it means that in addition to your specialization, you need to have a high level of fluency in other layers of the stack. You need to know how cloud solutions interact with the data you create in your equipment, okay? You need to know what a master data model in an ERP system is and what the purpose of ERP is in your organization. You need to know what capabilities fall under the MES umbrella. You need to know what data is created by SCADA systems, it's specifically alarm definitions and alarm events, which are the most common. You need to know how HMIs and PLCs interact with one another. That's called fluency, okay? That is, you need to be able to walk into a plant and you need to be able to ask a certain set of questions and be able to ascertain how that plant is built and how the smart things in that plant interact with one another. That's fundamentally how things change, okay? All right, Zach, are there any questions that I need to answer?
Not that I see right now. But if there are any questions, please leave them in the chat. Someone said, Zachary Stank said he'd like to know some data for the 11 out of 12 manufacturer statistic. Was that in your data, like based on your findings, or is that a study that people can go find?
It is not a study that you can go find. It was a cross group analysis based on surveys that were sent out to 1,300 or something manufacturing leaders. So if you look a peek behind the hood, okay? I wasn't going to talk about this, but I'll do it now. A peek behind the hood.
Mentees right back there.
What's that? Oh, there you go. So a peek behind the hood, right? So we work with, our client list is a who's who. We basically work with every company that anyone wants to work with, right? So, from the Global 100 and Fortune 500, vast majority of them are our clients, and we consult on their strategies and their digital transformation initiatives. If you name a manufacturer who's in the Global 100 and the Fortune 500 right now, there's something I can guarantee you, okay? Every one of those manufacturers has an exit strategy from Industry 3.0. What most of them are doing is they have created parallel initiatives to their existing manufacturing organizations. So, Zach, split the screen, have us split it. So, what they've done is they've created parallel initiatives, which would be like, whether that's their Industry 4.0 venture, or whether that's, this is our AI group, this is our data group, right? They've created parallel initiatives that is the future of that organization, okay? And they're doing that under the assumption that they will not be able to transform their existing businesses. So let's use here's a great example is auto manufacturers.
What if the new venture succeeds and they are able to transform the old venture?
They're not giving up on the old venture, but they recognize that the likelihood, think about why digital transformation fails. Digital transformation fails for one of three reasons, right? You have the wrong strategy, you pick the wrong technology, you're using the wrong partners. Okay, I can guarantee you some things, right? If you go to Rockwell Automation to do your digital transformation initiative, you're a fucking idiot, an absolute idiot. Okay, you are being hoodwinked. If you are going to McKinsey, for example, and you're bringing McKinsey in, and you're having them evaluate your organization top to bottom and have them write you your roadmap to digitally transform, you're a fool. It's not going to work. Okay?
Unless you happen to be working with the one person from Big Consulting who's in our group. People from Big Consulting are personally joining our group, but
yeah, listen, I don't care who I don't care who I offend here. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not going to worry about anybody's feelings. We're going to talk about what it is I observe with my own eyes. I have an opportunity to read McKinsey's roadmaps. I have an opportunity to read Rockwell's roadmaps, Emerson's roadmap. I'm not just picking on McKinsey and Rockwell. There are lots of companies out there that do this, Deloitte, Accenture, et cetera. Some of them do, if you look on a scale, some of them do a better job than others do, right? But manufacturers are having to spend entirely too much money on these big consulting firms for very, very, very little return. The vast majority of the manufacturers who are working, they're working with these big consulting firms to transform their businesses, are horribly disappointed in the outcomes. Horribly disappointed. The reason I know is because I've read their responses to these surveys. Number one, the surveys we've done and the surveys we've partaken with. Okay. Number one, we know who's responding. We know what companies they work for. So we know whether or not the initiatives are successful or not successful. Number two, we're being hired to come behind those companies to actually solve the problem. Okay. And we see it with our own eyes. This isn't speculation. It's not, it is, I wish there were a nicer way I could say it. And these large consulting firms would stop taking the approach they're taking, A, to developing their people, and B, to approaching the market. But let me say this. There's no one who works for me. There's no one who works in our organization who is going to some other integrator, to some other 4.0 company to learn how to become an Industry 4.0 professional. Yet, thousands of people who work for these large consulting firms are coming to us to learn how to become Industry 4.0 professionals. And that alone tells you there is something wrong with the way these large consultancy firms are approaching solving these problems. They see it as a cash cow. They see, they know their customers are ignorant. They know their customers don't know how to do this, and they're taking advantage of it. Okay, they're not being honest about the fact that they really don't know how to digitally transform an organization. Okay, all right. So that's off my soapbox.
Unless you talk to them offline, in which case I've talked to these people personally, and they say, I don't know actually about Industry 4.0, but I'm just out here marketing to digital transformation.
Correct.
I have no idea what it's like. I talk to these people, and because it kind of makes me mad,
It should make you mad. It should make you mad because that's money that manufacturers are spending on no return, and that's money they could be spending on middle-class jobs. Okay. All right. I want to talk about one thing, and then let's get into your steps. All right. So the difference between data and information and OT-IT convergence. So this is you need to be, if you want to be an Industry 4.0 professional, you need to know what I'm about to show you here. So you need to know the difference between data, information, and infrastructure. So data is something that happened and when. It's an event and a timestamp. Okay. Some important points. Some data is dynamic. It changes from time to time. Some data is static. It instantiates and then never or rarely changes. Some data points are extensions of other data points and or information. And most important, data is generally not actionable. Okay. You generally can't do something with just one data point. Okay. I can't take action. Information is the nugget of knowledge that's created when you transform data. Okay. It's the context created when data is analyzed. If I'm looking at a trend over time, that's contextual and that's information. It's not data. So if I look at temperature over time, I can be informed about trends with just that one data point over time. Okay. Information is an aggregation of data and context transformed into knowledge that's actionable. Information are extensions of other information sometimes. Sometimes I can take the information, which is a list of downtime events, the current state of a machine, the counts that came off that machine, and I can put all those things together, which are information, to create a new piece of information called overall equipment effectiveness. Okay. But most importantly, information is generally always actionable. That is, and by generally, I mean it is always actionable. I can do something when I'm informed. And the infrastructure is simply the physical and digital foundation or medium for communicating data and information.
Data ops.
Right. If you want to know the difference between, who owns what right now, OT-IT convergence, there's data everywhere, right? At every layer of the stack, we have different types of data. This is why digital threading doesn't work for digital transformation. So if I go to Rockwell and I want to use plant packs through the OSI Pi infrastructure into ThingWorks, and then I'm going to drop into the Microsoft Azure IoT framework. That's called digital threading, right? Where I'm relaying a digital thread, a digital object up through the stack, right? Deterministically. The fundamental problem with digital threading, and why it is if you go to Rockwell to digitally transform, or you go to Microsoft to digitally transform, you're going to be disappointed, is because there's all sorts of fucking data out there that you can't consume using that approach, using that strategy. There's data you have to leave behind. What they're doing is they're saying, let's start your data collection initiative from scratch. Let's put this edge device out there. We'll create a new little object and we'll pass it up, and all the things higher up the stack will mirror that object. That doesn't work. How do I know it doesn't work? Because I've made millions of dollars from companies hiring me to close the gaps that those strategies don't fill. Hiring our company to close those gaps. You're not going to find a single person who's going to be able to come on here and make an argument for why digital threading is the foundation of any digital transformation initiative. And by the way, every time we challenge somebody who says that it is, they're not willing to come on our podcast or accept the challenge. They can't make the argument. Okay. So the data is in a lot of different places. Okay. And it's owned by two different groups. So some of the data is owned by IT, some is owned by the OT group. Part of an Industry 4.0 initiative is you're merging those together. So both the OT professional and the IT professional are going to operate under the same set of rules. Okay. All right. So let's talk about your skill set and how do you become an Industry 4.0 professional? What are those steps? What do they look like?
Quick refresh.
Yes.
And everyone can.
I seriously want to shoot myself every time I have to stop sharing and resharing. I'm not kidding. I do. I want to shoot myself. All right.
Oh, that looks perfect.
Can you see the slide? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody here you're going to get an Industry 4.0 career roadmap, this slide. Okay. We're going to share this slide with you. That's over here on the left-hand side.
We're also going to get the other slides too, just because a couple of you guys asked. So we're going to get you that other slide as well.
So what does this look like? Okay. So step one in becoming an Industry 4.0 professional is you need to understand what Industry 4.0 is by learning what is IIoT, what is the automation stack, and what is digital transformation. Okay. So what is Industry 4.0? What's digital transformation? What's IIoT? Why does all this matter? A really good way to go through step one is to take our free IIoT mini course. Okay. It's it's 2 hours worth of content that you can go to IIoT.university and you can watch that, or you can go to our YouTube channel and you can watch that. But the things that you're going to learn, if you don't learn it from our free mini course, those are the things you have to learn. Okay. You need to learn what Industry 4.0 is, what is digital transformation, what's IIoT, and why does it matter? And until you are fluent in those concepts, you can't move on to step two. It should only take you 2 to 8 hours to go through the very first step.
Yeah, and everyone that's on this call today should go through step one. Anyone that's working for a plant in any department, step one is for you.
All right, and so here's the other thing. In these steps, we highlight the programs that we offer for those steps, but you don't have to use our programs. We're not saying that you need to join our mentorship program or you need to join our mastermind program. What we are saying, though, is that you need to learn what is in our mentorship program. So whether you learn it from somebody else, whether you learn it from us, whether you get a custom curriculum, which, by the way, a lot of companies are hiring us now to do custom curriculums for just their organization, whether you do that, you need to go through these steps, okay? So step two is developing your technical skills that you need to work on Industry 4.0 projects. That's including learning about what is an IIoT platform. Behind me is Factory Studio, running by Tatsoft. This is in the new frameworks version. That is an IIoT platform. Rockwell's Factory Talk platform is not an IIoT platform. You have to know the reasons why. Okay, you have to know the difference between the two. In our step two training, so the step two is really is mentorship for us. Okay, And in mentorship, there are multiple steps. So step 1, you learn Ignition and basic SQL and Python. You learn UI development. There's a very, very rigorous practical at the end that takes most people a month to complete. It's very difficult to complete, but it does test your technical skill. Okay.
And when you
hold on, Zach. We call this step 1, 2, and 3 training. Your technical skill training, okay, is steps 1, 2, and 3. Step 1 is Ignition. It's Ignition. It's Python. It's SQL. It's all the basic stuff, right? UI development, very rigorous, practical. Step 2 is Frameworks University. It's Factory Studio. It's advanced Python. It's advanced SQL. It's advanced UI development. It is also an introduction into MES, manufacturing execution systems. Step 3 gets us more into machine learning, an additional IIoT platform, which is WinCCOA in this case. But step 2 for your journey needs to be technical skill training, okay? For people who do our mentorship program, that takes about 6 to 18 months. We have people who have been in the program now for 9 months, and you have some people who have barely started their training because they're just going very slow, and being a part of the community is more important to them than doing the actual technical training. And then you've got people who blow right through it. Taylor, the big ones were Dave Schultz, Andrew Ott, and Taylor Turner. There are some people who blew through the technical skill training. Okay. Step 3 in your journey is applying those technical skills acquired during your technical skill training. So in our case, mentorship, in the real world, like working with a systems integrator or an end user. Okay. This is real world application, and it's technical skill application and development, project development for a systems integrator or an end user, and real world application. That should be about 12 to 24 months of work. What is important to note is that steps 1, 2, and 3 can happen concurrently. Okay, so you can be doing your technical skill training and doing application and development at the exact same time. There's no, in our experience, when we are teaching our clients, most of the times when we're doing digital transformation for our customers, part of the digital transformation is we are training up their internal resources. It generally takes their internal resources, who are generally very gifted Industry 3.0 professionals and highly educated and very smart. The fastest any of them develop is 12 months. But so the real world application of developing and the application of these technical skills is generally a 12 to 24 month process. Step 4 is developing full stack fluency. Okay, so learn architecture, design, and applications you'll need to be the leader of digital transformation initiatives. So step 4 is full stack fluency. It's architecture, design, and application. It's overcoming socio-political barriers. So this is learning how to sell solutions, okay? Selling Industry 4.0, leading Industry 4.0 teams. For the people that are within our community, this is Digital Mastermind. Okay, so it takes Digital Factory Mastermind, that those 57 people, that's a 12 to 24 month journey. Okay, now we have some people who are doing step 3 and step 4 at the exact same time. You'll notice we have 150 doing step 3. We only have 57 doing step 4. So there are some people who are doing both step 3 and step 4 at the exact same time. Some of these things can be done concurrently. Okay. Meanwhile, your step 3, your real world application, or step 2, 3, and 4, you can do concurrently. Your real world application continues through your journey. Okay. So as you are learning full stack fluency, architectural design and application, overcoming socio-political barriers, you're going through the mastermind process, learning how to lead digital transformation initiatives. You are applying that, working for an integrator, working for yourself, working for the end user, right? Dave Schultz, who's a member of our community, he's a perfect example of, in just 9 months or a 9 to 10 month window, Dave went through he's advanced himself. He's gone through 24 months of development in a 9 or 10 month window. And if you look at where is career-wise and where his company's at, G5 Consulting, his performance has been off the charts, right? If you look at Jeff Schrader and Matt Paris, two other members of our community, where their development has been off the charts, especially as it relates to technical skill application and full stack fluency, the step 3 and 4 components. Okay. And then step 5, and by the way, there are many other people. I'm just happen to drop, Mario. I could drop many names, Mario Ishikawa, and the whole group. Chris Gilles is a good example too. My man Dave, and my other man Dan. There are many people who have greatly accelerated their development as Industry 4.0 professionals. And let me get to
they'll help you. They'll just drop out a line in the Discord. They're very helpful.
Correct. And then step 5, okay? Step 5 is you are an Industry 4.0 professional, okay? You can successfully lead digital transformation initiatives. You can do digital transformation maturity assessments, and you can help manufacturers achieve the Holy Grail. But depending upon where you are in these steps right now, there are people on here who need to start with step 1. There are people who on here who need to start with step 3, right? There are people who need to start with step 4. Depending upon where you are, and based on this roadmap, how long it should take you to develop as an Industry 4.0 professional. But I want to end here, and before we take questions, okay? The first thing that you need to do, okay, before you ever embark on this journey, okay, and I touched on it here, is what are your values? Why do you want to be an Industry 4.0 professional? And how can being an Industry 4.0 professional help serve your values, okay, or help you live up to your values? Being an Industry 4.0 professional is not a job, and it is not a career. It is who you are. It is the thing that we all have in common. The Industry 4.0 professional is we are proactive, we are active, we are not reactive, okay? I am always an Industry 4.0 architect, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm always studying. I'm always communicating with the community. I'm always working to solve these problems. And everyone else in the community is. You can't be an Industry 4.0 professional passively. Okay, I start my day by reading, spending 45 minutes, educating myself. And I end my day spending 45 minutes learning something new every single day, 7 days a week. Okay. Everything that we've developed, these strategies that we've developed here, are a function of experience, observation, research, and testing, leveraging the scientific method. Okay. So number 1, you have to ask yourself, what are your values? My values are transparency, authenticity, expertise, humility, and servant leadership. We have plenty of content that explains that. Then you got to ask yourself, what is your mission? Okay. My mission is to help save and create middle-class jobs in the United States. And I do that by using Industry 4.0, by using technology to help manufacturers do more with less. And through a function of doing more with less, they create new jobs. They grow, number 1, but number 2, they create higher paying, much more stable jobs where you have Americans supporting manufacturing operations all over the world, right? That's the strategy. And number 3, develop a strategy. What we showed you here is what that strategy should be. Okay, so, or what we expect you to do. So where should you start? Okay, decide where on those 5 steps you need to start. Okay, most people need to start with step 1. 99% of you do. And if so, go to IIoT University and take the IIoT mini course. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just go take the IIoT mini course and get that base education. And then decide what you want to do next. Okay, mentorship is an option, our mentorship program. If not, take the things that if you don't want to do our mentorship program, then take the things you need to learn in mentorship and go learn them somewhere else. Okay. There are many educators out there who teach the things that you need to learn. Do I believe our program is the best? Of course I do. I think it's the best. That's why we created it. But decide where you are on your path and then take that first step. Once you get involved with the community and everybody who's on our Discord server specifically and a member of IIoT University and in mentorship and mastermind, they will all tell you the same thing. We are constantly sending out assessments and asking for feedback from the community. And of the thousands of responses we have received, because we will, many members of the program, we will ask them to do an assessment or a review multiple times. Of the thousands of responses, we have never once received a wholly negative response. Every communication to us has been, I love it. This is incredibly valuable. Dave Schultz says all the time, and I love this statement. He says, Dave said to us one day, I learn more in this community by accident than I do anywhere else on purpose. Those are his words, right? And when you look at the reviews that the members of the community send to us, it's glowing. It's, I've found my people. I've found my calling. And one of the things that you'll notice about our community is that we rely on one another a lot. One of the things I talk about the mastermind community is before you develop full stack fluency, it takes a long time to be fluent in every layer of the automation stack. You need to be a part of a team where in some you have full stack fluency, right? If you're not a person who has full stack fluency, say I'm fluent in the first 3 layers of the stack, then I need to be on a team where I have stack fluent, where there are other members who are fluent in cloud-based technology, ERP, and we work cohesively as a team, okay? All right, so where should you start? You take those steps and decide where you want to start. The goal here is to expand our community and educate more members of the industrial automation world on what is Industry 4.0, what does it mean for your career, and how you can use Industry 4.0 to help manufacturers do more with less and hopefully serve our mission, which is to help save and create middle-class jobs. All right. Zach, turn it over to you, buddy.
All right. That was amazing. All right. So I want to share my screen again. I want to bring up the Zoom. Everyone in the Zoom, thank you guys have been waiting patiently. I'm going to go ahead and...
Was that valuable? Can we get feedback? Was what I communicated there valuable?
Vaughn has everyone muted.
Oh, he won't let him.
Yeah, thumbs up if it's valuable. All right.
All right, cool.
If there's any questions now, we're going to leave them in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this stream up here shortly, and then Walker's going to jump right into the Zoom call, the monthly mentorship fellowship call. Yeah.
All right.
Walker, do you have anything else you want to?
I do have this. So Zach, if the people who are watching, so the non-mentees who are watching, the thousands of people who signed up and joined and watched this stream, if they have questions, if they want us to answer a question for them, if they want to give feedback, how do we want them to do that?
Yeah, the best place to reach us is going to be join the Discord server. The very first link below will be, the link to join the Discord server, and just right there in the general, or you want to send me a PM.
Is it in the description of the stream?
It's in the description of the stream, and then it's also on the training room right there. The first link at the top will be to join the Discord server. Got it.
Awesome. And then how many people are we? So we've added 30, 40 something new mentees. How many more are we allowing to add?
Yeah. So
for this launch event,
based on the number of swag packs that we have available for the mentorship program, there's about that, like there's 50% remaining spots available. So we've already sold half of them, and the rest of them, it's like maybe 50 or so remaining. So once those are gone on the actual page to check out on either monthly or annual, it'll say, hey, there's no more available. And so we did that because we have a limited number of these swag packs.
So Phoenix Contact sponsored the swag pack, right?
Correct.
Have we let people know what's in the swag pack?
No, we have not, but it is nothing technical, but it is a swag. It is something useful. And it's a combination of 4.0 and Phoenix Contact PLC Next.
And
If there's like an excess of demand, we can always try to go back and see if there's, we can get another. What we're going to do,
let me say this.
we're going to do a winter launch event. So if you miss out on this opportunity, we're going to do another launch event in winter. But all right, go ahead.
Okay. Let me say this. Ira Sharp, Zach worked with Ira Sharp at Phoenix Contact. You guys know that we've been putting the PLC Next through the ringer. And we're blown away. I mean, I'll be honest with you, when we do our final review of the PLC Next, I'm blown away. I want to give a person, I don't talk to Ira. I don't think I've ever had a conversation with Ira. I've talked to Phil Zaboa a couple of times, like through messages, but Zach is the one who deals with Ira. I personally want to say thank you to Ira and Phoenix Contact for their support of our community. They made a substantial capital investment into these swag packs. Okay, this is not chump change. That they made a substantial investment in providing
the community.
Right, to providing the swag that we are giving to the members of the mentee, and Phoenix Contact asked for absolutely nothing in return. Okay, Ira did not. They did not. There was no quid pro quo. There was nothing. I mean, the Ira Sharp and Phil Zaboa and the folks at Phoenix Contact, they are true believers in the mission of the Industry 4.0 community. And we did not give them anything in exchange for this huge investment they made in the swag, where we basically do this combined effort. It's 4.0 solutions and Phoenix Contact swag that are in these swag packs. So I personally want to thank Ira and Phoenix Contact and everybody at Phoenix Contact for their investment in our community, because it is as pure of an investment as I've ever seen an automation company make in my career. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't possibly thank you guys enough. Go ahead, Zach.
And I want to thank you guys for joining today's live stream. Again, if you have any questions, there will be a link below to join the Discord server. Please reach out to us, and we're going to get right into our monthly mentorship call after we end this stream and a quick 5-minute break.
Awesome. Zach, are you going to send me the link to the Zoom?